Hey everybody, hello. Welcome to Big E's Auto. I'm Big E. So today we're going to be working on a 2006, see if I can hold the camera here, 2006 Ford Explorer. We're going to be doing some transmission work. The customer states that the check engine light on the dash flickers. It slide shifts, irregular shifting. This customer had the truck to different shops for this condition. Replace all kinds of sensors and stuff, has not cured the problem. So I'm going to show you today how to replace the solenoid block that's on a 5R55S transmission. That's what's specific to the 4-liter engine on the Ford Explorer. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put this thing up on stands and get some tools together, and we're going to dive right into it. Alright, this particular clip, for whatever reason, I got no audio on, so I'm going to try and narrate this section the best that I can. Just kind of give you an overview. I've already moved the pan. There's 8mm bolts that hold the pan up, so I've hinged the pan down, removed the pan as you can see here. There's the filter with the black tube coming down. That's the filter, and that's held in place with two 8mm bolts that I will be removing. And there's the gasket hanging there, as you can see, and the valve body, and then you see fluid everywhere. Right now, on the there at the bottom, I'm going to say right there where I'm pointing, that is the solenoid block, or solenoid pack is what I will be removing from the transmission, which is 8 T30 Torx bit bolts that will be taking out to remove that, as well as the electrical plug. I believe here I'm just explaining due to the fact that the drain plug on this vehicle was so rusted, I could not remove the T30 plug out of the bottom, so I had to drop the pan. Instead of letting the fluid out through there, that's why I had to hinge the pan down, if you will, to get the fluid out. I removed, due to the fact that the front of the vehicle was on jack stands, I removed the opposite end bolts first, and then I came up the sides, both sides, removing one at a time and just loosening them to hinge the pan down. Just loosening the 4 bolts, 3 or 4 bolts that are at the other end of the pan. I believe that is the end that is near where the torque converter would be. Just slowly backing them off to allow the pan to come down and hinge down to let the fluid spill out of the back of the pan into the drain pan that I had. So yeah, slowly removing those 8mm bolts one at a time. Unless your drain plug comes out with the T30, then you can just remove that. Looking in retrospect, I should have just taken a 7/8 wrench and removed the whole drain plug and then removed the pan. But at the time, with the rust situation, I didn't want to risk breaking anything, so I just figured I would just remove the pan that way. But if yours is rusty, you can take a 7/8 socket or wrench and remove the whole drain plug completely, the whole drain plug unit out of the drain pan to drain the fluid out. And then it'll just make the job of taking the pan off that much easier at that point. I believe here too, I was showing earlier the fluid in the pan. That's exactly what it looked like when I took it off the vehicle. It was very clean. The fluid was red, very red, which is a good sign. There's no shavings, no metal particles, pieces, anything like that in the fluid, which is good. There was just the normal clutch dust that you get from a regular operating transmission. So everything on the internals looks good. I looked on the actual solenoid pack itself. That looked, again, it was just dirty from usual use. There was no metal shavings, no metal particles, no pieces, nothing missing. And as you can see, again, I'm showing the pan of how clean it is. So that signifies to me that the shifting issue is not a mechanical or internal issue of the transmission, but it is an issue with the electronics, namely this solenoid pack that they have on this particular transmission, which is the 5R55S transmission. So we're going to be replacing that, and my belief now that seeing how clean everything is, that is the issue that is with this particular vehicle at this time. I'm not quite sure at this point what as I can't read lips, I'm trying to see what I'm rambling about, but I'm not. Again, just to reiterate, I hinged the pan down, which, again, looking in retrospect, I should have just taken a 7/8 wrench socket, and I just should have taken the whole drain plug assembly out. Alright guys, I'm back here. So I'm going to try and adjust the light. I can do both things here, light and this. So hang with me. Let me hang the light here for you. Okay, so we got the solenoid block is off. Okay. It is 8 bolts. You're going to need a T30 Torx bit to get them off. The problem here is the pain in the ass is the electrical connector here. Okay. So you got to go up top. And you can see how my hand, I don't even know if I can finish this today. My hand is all cramped up from smashed against the 4-wheel drive subshaft. There's a 10mm bolt which comes through here. Okay, so you have to loosen this 10mm bolt, and then you can pull the electrical connector off for the actual block. So you gotta take this 10mm bolt loose. What I did was I got the 8 bolts here first, the T30 Torx bolts. I got them out first, and you can wiggle it, and then you gotta loosen this last, and then it has 2 row rings that hold it in place, and this bolt. And then I was able to drop it all down. Other thing, there's a bolt that goes, I believe, here. And there's one here that holds the filter in place. So we're going to have to remember that when we put the filter back on, is that those 2 bolts hold the filter in place. And then we can put the pan on. But for now, I'm going to clean this off. And then we're going to go ahead, we're going to put the new solenoid block on, and we're going to tighten this up. If my hand can survive long enough to tighten that back up today. If not, I'm going to have to continue this job tomorrow. So when I come back, hopefully we have that in place. Alright guys, I'm back here. So we got the new unit on right here. That is the solenoid pack, the 8 Torx T30 bolts. You tighten to 71 inch-pounds. If you're like me and old school, you deal with foot-pounds. According to the conversion, you divide it by 12, and it comes out with like about 5 to 6 foot-pounds. So torque that down. I also put the new filter on. I lubed up the O-rings that are on the other side of here, and then put it in, and then tightened the 2 8mm bolts. So now I want to give everything one last inspection. Make sure everything's tight the way it should be. Remember, we tightened our 10mm bolt for the electrical connector. Our T30 Torx bits have been torqued, and our 8mm bolts for our filter are tight. So all we're going to do now is we're going to clean up the pan and put that on with a new gasket, and then we'll be ready to fill her up. Alright guys, so here's the pan. I just cleaned it up, and it actually turned out pretty good. The magnet did not have really much on it at all. This is the old solenoid pack, and there's no kind of shavings, there's no kind of excess clutch debris or anything like that. I mean, there's where I broke off the electrical connector, but other than that, I think we just have a situation where the solenoid just wore out, but there's no excess. So, which is good, because that tells me between the pan being as clean as it was, and there's no any kind of shavings or excess debris on the solenoid pack itself, that tells me this transmission internally is in good shape. So I fully believe that replacing this is going to take care of the shift issue that the customer's having. And with this being as clean as it was, that even more tells you that this transmission probably has a lot of life in it yet. Alright guys, so here we're back with the trans. So I had to get a new plug, trans plug. The original one, there's a plug that goes in here, was so rust I couldn't get it. So I got a new one, new plug. I had a fitting, okay, so now this is what I had to fabricate so I can hook my hand pump. So this is going to go inside the transmission there. Hard to see with the lighting, but your drain there, okay, this is gonna screw into there, okay, and then we're gonna fill it through this. Now we're gonna put five quarts of approved Ford transmission fluid in through this hose. I'm gonna try to pump it with my hand pump here, and we're gonna see what happens, and hopefully we can get it full. And then once we get to, I'm not gonna video me putting 5 quarts in. Now it'd just be boring as hell. So I'm going to try to get the 5 quarts in, and then we're going to start the vehicle. And they said let it run for 8 to 10 minutes. Pull this plug off. Well, this stays in the transmission, but pull this plug out. We let it drain. When it starts dripping, then we got to put the small pipe plug that goes in here, the T30 that goes in here, we got to put in there. And then supposedly that's the right level. So we'll see how this goes. So when I come back, we'll hopefully be able to start this thing up. Alright guys, so I'm inside the Explorer right now doing a road test. What I did was, when you first start up, you're going to go to reverse, let it sit for 5 or 6 seconds, then go to neutral, 5 or 6 seconds, drive 5 or 6 seconds, so on and so forth, okay? So that gets fluid throughout the trans. So what I'm doing now, I'm doing some part throttle driving, because now the computer is gonna have to relearn all this. So I'm driving right now, and I probably shouldn't even be recording right now, but I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna stop the video here because that's just unsafe, and I don't want something stupid happening. So that's how you can do swap out. Yeah, the seatbelt light keeps going off, but that's how you can swap out that solenoid pack in your 5R55S transmission in your 2000. This is a 2006 Ford Explorer, but whatever that generation is, like I said, I don't know enough about these to know what generations are what generation. So I hope you learned something. Get out in the garage. If you have this issue, tackle it yourself. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So anyway, like and subscribe, leave a comment. Thanks for watching. Until next time, watch out for each other, take care of each other. See you next time right here on Big E's. Bye for now.